Joining me today is Sassy Atheist. Sassy, how's it going?
Good, really good. Sorry I cut you off. I
No,
thought you were going to stop it.
that's fine. I love the excitement. That's what it's
Um,
all about. Sassy Atheist. You have been trying to create some stuff on YouTube. Have created some stuff on YouTube. You have a channel right now. Tell me, what is that about? What is your deal?
so my purpose in having a channel and being so active on social media is to talk about religion, politics, humanism, and atheism, and a lot of many different important topics. I am a humanist, and what I really try to talk about and promote is for all of us to coexist with one another, regardless of our beliefs.
Yeah.
And I've interacted obviously with a lot of theists and atheists, and I've had my fair share of um, interacting and hearing so many different points of views. And to be honest, there's a lot to work on within the atheist community,
No kidding.
because yes, there is many people that know me and have watched my videos. They know what I'm talking about. And one of the things that we need to work on is that I've seen it with not there are atheists out there that want to get rid of religion completely. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that everyone has the right to believe what they want, as long as it's not harmful to them, themselves, or to other people in society. And it's kind of there are atheists that want to that do say that religious people should respect atheists and other people of different beliefs. But at the same time, those atheists are turning around and want to strip away that religious person's right to be religious. And it's very hypocritical. And you can't expect for them to respect and to let other people believe what they want, and then for you to not want that same thing for them.
Man, that's a big message of like peace and love that I wouldn't expect from a username like Sassy Atheist. You gotta tell me what's up with the sassy. Why you gotta throw that in there?
Oh my gosh. So one of my personality traits, I can be very sassy. And at the beginning, when I became an atheist, I was trying to figure out a name that just fits me.
And how long ago was that, by the way?
I became an atheist in January of this year.
Okay, so this is what's crazy to me, right? Because I knew this before I'm asking these kind of questions, but like, so you became an atheist in January and you're already starting your own channel. That is crazy to me. That is really bonkers. Like, so obviously, like, I know that before January, right? You're going through that transition process, and like that's probably the time when you're officially okay with that label for yourself. But like, to me, that's so prescient. Like that still feels very new to me. January is not that far away. I mean, like, what inspired you to go from, not only am I going to go to this label for myself, but like, I'm just going to go straight to just like making content on the internet?
Well, let's see. I didn't plan on creating a channel. I created the channel in May. So it was a little while before I even thought of the idea of creating a channel and creating videos that could possibly help people in some way. Like when I first came out as an atheist, There were people that were very skeptical, and that so that you can't go from being evangelical and just like that become an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this many times before, is like, I know it may seem very quick, it's like a quick decision, but for me, this really has been going on for a very long time, because for a very long time I was struggling with my beliefs, and there are always doubts that would pop up and I would have, but then I would, hide it. I would, don't think about it, because as I started learning more about Christianity and I started growing in my faith with God, I thought that I had, grown to believe that that was the only way, that was the only truth.
Sure.
So, so I was, preaching on Twitter, and my view, I was evangelical. I would be preaching, about, atheists or other people needing Jesus, and I would preach that homosexuality was a sin, being transgender was a sin, and just things that, evangelical Christian, a very conservative Christian would say. And so, but I told myself, is like, you know what, I'm going to try to be more understanding and more compassionate to others of that believe differently than me. And so, then
I would think that Christianity would have taught you that already. You know what I mean? Being more compassionate to others and their thoughts. I don't know. Just an observation, but
yeah. I mean, it really, like, it depends on, I mean, obviously in different Christian denominations, you are taught differently, different things, and to believe in. And there are some Christian religions that are more very conservative and more closed-minded than other Christian denominations. And unfortunately, I was part of one that was very closed-minded.
Yeah.
And
So
I believed everything the Bible said.
Yeah. So like you went from preaching on Twitter to making an atheist YouTube channel. Like what was really inspiring that change? Was it actually talking to other people on Twitter? Was it watching stuff on YouTube, or was it something else? Or?
Well, what really changed my whole point of view. I was interacting with a couple of atheists on Twitter, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but I remember is like what they were saying to me made me question my faith and how I was living my life. And I just came to this like extremely shocking realization that I had been living a life that I truly, I deeply, deeply, truly was not right for me. And I realized how hurtful my preaching was to others. And I stopped myself from being true to who I really am. And so I broke down crying. And I was like, I cannot go on any longer believing in this. And I actually came out to some of my family members that same day. A couple of family members, they were fine with it. But I came out to my very evangelical great uncle, who he was my Bible study teacher and Christian mentor. And so I came out to him, and I mean, obviously it wasn't a very good reaction. So that it really had put a strain on our relationship. We hardly see and talk to each other. uh, and so it really put, you know, a strain on relationship ever since I became an atheist.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, anyway, so there was just so many, there's so many emotions, and there was just so much, you know, realizations, and I told myself that I cannot stop myself anymore uh, from accepting my sexuality. I can't no more stop myself or convince myself that having normal, um, you know, feelings for other people, that I had to stop myself from believing that it was wrong, um, and things like that. And uh, and then I just, my journey continued from there.
Yeah, man, and the journey never ends, really. I know, like I just got a text
Yeah.
last week. Yeah, I got a text last week from someone who I would call them a mentor, a Christian mentor in my life, who just out of the blue just texted me, "Are you still looking for truth?" And I texted back. I was like, "Are you?" You know, because like it goes both ways, right? Like, and he meant well. I think he was that's just kind of his way of checking in on me. But like, you know, that's not something we always talk about. I think is the continuing relationships we have with the people who we were once in community with, right? I know that was a really big struggle for me because everybody I knew in my life was a Christian. You know, I hadn't really gotten involved with the ACA at all, and certainly outside of the ACA, I didn't really know anybody. And so, you know, trying to find other people to talk about these kinds of issues with, who I knew could respect and understand where I was at, and I could be comfortable with, was really hard at first. And I know that's hard for most people, right? Like that's where you try to find help online, and that's why these kind of communities form in the first place. But I think it's wonderful that you're able to at least talk about your experiences with other people, because I know that even if you're a Christian and you're watching this right now, I hope you know that the people who are like me and are like Sassy in your life, they probably still want to be friends with you. They probably still want to have that relationship with you, but they're going through some stuff that might be hard to understand. So, you know, just a little PSA out there. Real quick before we keep going with the show. Again, this is a call-in show, so I want you guys to come in, call and ask Sassy some questions. Ask me some questions. You know, talk about what's on your mind, what you've seen in the news. I want to point out what I'm wearing. Normally, I wear some pretty, I'd say, nice clothes, but I have this T-shirt on today. You can't really see it on. It says "Teach the Controversy," and it's got like some moon landing stuff on there. So we were talking to these people from bit.ly/teach the controversy, and they went ahead and sent us some free shirts to wear that have some funny stuff like this on here. You know, if we wore them for the next few weeks, and they're not paying us to promote them or anything, we just thought it'd be fun. I have some other ones cooked up here that I'm really excited to wear in the next few weeks. So just wanted to point that out for those of you who are watching this live on the YouTube, and want to know, you know, what's up with this shirt? Why am I wearing it? It's just kind of funny. But yeah, so I'm glad you're here, Sassy. I'm glad that it sounds like you're doing a lot better. Sounds like it was really hard, but like you know, things are improving in your life now, huh?
Like 1,000,000,000% better.
Yeah.
You know, ever since that when I first became an atheist, I had to. It took a little while to start. I was kind of like starting over, like trying to figure out myself and trying to figure out what I truly liked and disliked for myself, and not because of what a book tells me what's right and what's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or you know. And so it was, you know, I was just going through that whole journey again, because I had started dwelling into religion when I would say about, I was like when I started my teenage years. And so as I was looking for truth, I was looking for something that I, you know, wanted to believe to be true. But in the same time, I was trying to, I was growing, and I was discovering who I was, and, as a person. But yeah, and so it was a difficult, my journey, throughout the years it's kind of complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And because my background is like, I wasn't just evangelical. I was at the time, before I deconverted, but before then I almost became Catholic. And before I became Catholic, I was a little a while back before that, I was in Episcopalian religion. So, and that's those two religions I kind of grew up, around. So it just, I've learned a lot about, especially Christianity, and as I got older, and because just with my interactions with different Christians, and also my personal experience with learning about different Christian denominations and getting involved in them. And so I just really hope that someone can, in my videos, can help, because I talk about my deconversion, and I talk about, my sexuality. I talk about humanism. I talk about things that I'm really passionate about, mm-hmm. and that I believe that we should be talking more about. And
Sweet. Yeah, that is awesome. So looks like, folks, if you tuned in with us last week, you knew that we were having a little bit of audio hiccups with Cosmic Skeptic, who was our guest. So just FYI, I want to let you guys know that Alex has agreed to come back next week. And so those of you who were kind of bummed out from last time because we didn't get great audio, we're going to do another show with him. It's going to be great. It looks like right now we might be having a little bit of troubles with our calls. It seems we're kind of getting a few glitches here and there. So if you're trying to call into the show, please keep trying to call in. We're not trying to ignore you. We might be having a bit of more technical difficulties. But you know what? As I always say, it's a live show, folks. Stuff happens live. It just kind of happens. And there's something beautiful to that. If you really look into it, like it shows the human element, right, in action. We see that sometimes things happen and we can't always predict or plan for it, but we just go with it anyway, because that's what it's all about, man. That's what it means. Yeah, it looks like we're finally getting some calls here. Now it's going through. So cool. Keep calling in. We have some open lines. We're here tonight with Sassy. Yes, seems like it's trying to work now. Maybe. I don't know. One thing I want to ask you was, you've made a point of emphasis tonight to talk about humanism a little bit. And you use that word, and that word means different things to different people. I noticed that it's something that you want to promote as far as like you want more cooperation in the world, rather than the complete demolish or breakdown of religion. You'd rather find a way to live in a world with religion. Is that kind of like a good summary of kind of your views on that? Or
yeah, that's part of it. For me, being a humanist, I want for there to be more, for us to care for about each other, and to get along, and to seek common ground, regardless of a person's religion, sexuality, gender identity, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And just to basically care for one another, and to respect each other, and to know that we can get along with each other, despite, that if we may have a lot of differences. I mean, if we all were the same, like, that would be boring. We were the same. But yeah, that's what it is, for me. It's just to care for other people, and to help others, and to be kind, and to show respect, and to find common ground with other people.
Sweet. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good way to start. But there's some people out there who do say, well, ultimately, these, let's call them religious ideologies, these ideas that people hold, are not sufficient for a society that wants to promote like peace and harmony and just like a normal life for people, right? Like there are some people that say like Islam in particular or fundamental forms of Christianity are incompatible with the modern life, with how we've come to adjust ourselves as secular human beings, that ultimately some of those people want our destruction on some level, or at least don't appreciate our way of life and will go through any means necessary, whether it be through violence or political means, to kind of end the way that we currently do things. I mean, do you think despite all that ultimately we can live in a world with people who have those views? Or do you think ultimately people around the world do have to change?
I mean, I think it is important, obviously, for everyone from all walks of life to learn from mistakes and to grow as human beings, and it's really important to have more empathy and to show respect and to care for others. And I mean, I do agree in that there are some parts of Christianity, depending on the denomination, that is a little bit more harmful, and just like Islam. But I do believe that we can, because necessarily, I mean, if a person is part of that really strict, conservative religion, that doesn't necessarily make though everyone that's in that to show hate, like actually to hatred and to hurt others. And because I know, some very conservative Christians or, religious people that, yes, have, they don't really accept homosexuality, or, they really have a lot of misconceptions about atheism, and they see atheism as a negative thing. But at the same time, they don't go out and promote harm. And so I believe that as long as we're not acting upon that to show hatred and to hurt others, whether verbally or physically, mentally or whatever, we can still live within one another and still hold our beliefs.
Yeah, when this question has been presented to me in some form, I always have to pause, because I really don't know if I could make a definitive answer. I know that I'm going to continue to try to promote, what I think is right as a humanist, what I think I should do as a person, and at least give an opinion on how I think the world could be better if other people change. Because ultimately, I think we do want other people to change. I don't think there's anybody alive that's just like, the world's exactly fine the way it is. Nobody needs to change or do anything, right? I think it's more about how people should change, or what is something that everyone can do that we can all kind of work towards together. And that's hard if you're coming from a worldview that on the face would just look at me and say, you don't count. Your opinion doesn't matter because I have the truth right here. And this says that you're not a part of that. Because you don't share my worldview, you don't come from my culture, you don't believe in my God, there's no hope for you. You have to turn and repent and come to our ways, or else, that's it, my way or the highway. And that's what's really interesting to me, because I think as we've grown more secular as a society, we're seeing a lot more people who play maybe a little more loosey-goosey with their religion. But the people who are fundamentalists are still fundamentalists. at the end of the day. And those are the voices that we hear and that we're probably most concerned about, right? I'm not really too concerned about the typical modern Methodist, for example. I'm more concerned about people like, I mean, the Westboro Baptist Church is like an easy picking, but really they're a small group. I'm more concerned about the ones that you don't see in the news, you know, the ones that are doing stuff that we might never hear about because it never gets reported or, you know, justice isn't handled the way that it should be. So I don't know. I'm more agnostic to the question. I really couldn't give you an answer either way, but I do think that I'm just going to keep doing what I do regardless, right? So
yeah.
So there
yeah,
you go.
like it's there's no, I mean, everyone has a different answer, you know, to that question. And it's really, it's not an easy, and it's not a really easy answer. You have to really think about it and take time into, but it is hard. But like for now, like I hold that belief or that worldview. It may change, you know, as I learn more and as I, you know, I see with my surroundings and I see what's going on. You know, it could change, but like for now, that's just my worldview.
You know, but I also think, and maybe you agree with me, I don't think we'll ever truly live in a secular world either.
True. Yeah. Right now I don't necessarily think that. I think that religion will always exist, and you know, as long as humans, you know, as long as humans live, and it's that. I mean, that's fine. That's totally fine. But yeah.
Yeah, so while we're still waiting on trying to get some calls through, again, please keep trying to call. We'd love to hear from you guys so we can have some conversations. So it's not just me and Sassy. Although if that's the case, then we'll do what we can tonight, folks. I want to know what you plan to do with the channel, because there's kind of a syndrome of YouTube people where somebody comes in and is like, yeah, I'm going to make a channel. It's going to be awesome. Maybe they put out one video, maybe two, and then they just kind of get bored with it, and then they leave, right? Like, they figure out it's not the thing, and that's fine. Like that's it's not for everybody. But Lord knows, like, this channel only happens every week because I have people who help me, technical people in the back who are, you know, helping me right now put this thing together and trying to make something out of it. So like, what is your plans to kind of not do that? Like, what do you have topics set up? Like, are you scheduled out for the next few months of all your great content you're going to put out there? Like, what's your process right now?
See, when it comes to, I've been doing a lot of live streams, and I've been also having other people on my channel to discuss about, you know, different things. And for those, it's planned out. But when I normally just upload a video that's like myself that I made, it's I don't have a set day, you know, each week to put out. I do whatever I can. I have about 20 videos so far already out on my channel. And but like with personally, like my schedule, I can't have a set day because there's always something happening, and I have to and when I put out videos that are, you know, just from, you know, for me, that I like, you know, solo, that's just when I have free time, when I'm available to do it. And it's just, for me,
YouTube is so complicated now. You know what I mean? Some people make careers off this stuff. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but
yeah,
if you had the opportunity right now to make a career off of making YouTube, would you do it? Like making YouTube videos?
I don't think so, because I don't see what I do as work. I I absolutely love what I do, and I love interacting with people, and I love talking and discussing about many different things, and it's really it's a fun thing for me to do. um and I don't necessarily see it as a job. I
Mm.
see it as just, trying to uh share my views, and to try and to, like, especially when I collaborate with people. um and then especially, like, I'm going to be having a lot more theists on my channel.
Mm.
Yes. I actually I've had a Christian, so one Christian so far, and I've had my friend, with the craft. She is a pagan, and she's really cool. She's been on my channel a couple of times, and of course, I have atheists on there, and I plan on sometime soon. I plan on having a street preacher
Ah.
come on my channel. Yeah, and he's very conservative, and so
So
but like
interesting. Interesting thing. When I was kind of workshopping Truth Wanted, one of my ideas was, yeah, I just want to find people in the local area to bring in every week to have conversations with, which is very ambitious if you really think about it logistically. I'm glad I do have people in studio sometimes, but having people over the internet is really great too. But like, also, like, those kind of conversations can be I don't know. I don't want to throw people off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to put people in a situation where they feel uncomfortable because they come inside and they're here in an atheist community of Austin, and you feel like you pin them down or something. Like, it's great that people call in to talk to me, because that usually you're at a point where it's like you feel comfortable enough talking to somebody outside because you're going. You know what I mean? Like, it
yeah,
feels like it's a bit different. But I don't know. Yeah, I think more conversations are good.
yeah,
Even if like you have a conversation with someone and it doesn't go super well for you, like maybe somebody just like, you have some arguments and like, oh, you don't think it works out. Like, that's still a learning experience, I think, for people. I think more people should engage with people and just expect that maybe you didn't get all of your points across. Maybe you don't feel like the person completely 100% understood you, but like, hey, you had a conversation about it. And like, in my mind,
yeah.
that's progress. Even if you didn't, you didn't give your super best, right?
Yeah.
It,
I but my main point, my main reason in having um different religious people on my channel, is to show others and to say that, hey, we believe in a lot of, we have many different views, and we do not agree on a whole lot, but we can still have a civil discussion, and we can still find some common ground, in the sense that we're both human. We both,
Mhm.
we have to respect each other, and it's normal to to believe what you want, and to
Mhm.
live your life how what you feel is best.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's like my main reason why I'm having different religious people, and because and also, it's like there's this assumption made about, and especially about all Christians, that there are not all, but there are atheists that I I have seen, and I have talked to, that have this assumption made about all Christians, like they're all bigoted, they're all,
Sure.
they're
Sure.
against, and that's simply not true. And just like, not every, person who is Islam is cruel, or is hateful, and is a terrorist. And there's like another thing that I'm really trying to talk about, and to really have other different discussions about it, is that we I personally, I'm not anti-theist. I'm not. I of course, there are things that I don't agree with and I think can be harmful, but at the same time, I'm not anti-theist.
Mm-hmm.
And there are atheists out there that are anti-theist. They are against every single religion, and I think that it's not really rational to be against all religions and all religious beliefs when we don't know every single belief out there. Mm-hmm. And we can't make an assumption, and we can't say that belief is harmful because we don't know about it. We can't make claims about something we do not know about, or we hardly know anything about it.
And some people will argue with you about what constitutes a religious claim and what doesn't as well, which is very interesting. There are some people that it will incorporate science and call it a quasi-religion in some sense, like scientific ideas and things like that, which is interesting. But I want to go back real quick to a point, because we were talking about just having the conversations with people, and like having that on your channel is really cool. But this is what's crazy to me, because if you had, I think if you had talked to me a few years ago of even having a conversation with an atheist about Christianity, in the sense of where it's not just me preaching, that it's just like talking about whether or not ideas are true, like that kind of blows my mind just a little bit, just because I was never taught a Christianity where you can debate with somebody on it. You know what I mean? I was always taught a Christianity like, yeah, of course, this is the truth, and you got to give that truth to other people. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other alternative truths. Like, everything else is idolatry. You know what I mean? And you got to watch out for the false prophets. The people who are trying to tell you a certain kind of Christianity that's not the true Christianity. Like, it's almost like I wasn't socialized to even conceive of the idea that, not only could my beliefs be wrong, but also that I could even concede a point to an atheist or to someone of another religious belief of something being true. And I just find that really fascinating, because I'm sure there's other people, and I'm sure it sounds like, given your story, that maybe that was your case too. Like you started off on Twitter to preach the truth. You didn't start on Twitter to like have calm, rational debates with people about the advantages and disadvantages of different beliefs. You know what I mean? Like, you were just like, I'm bringing the fire down to you. Like, hey, all you atheists and LGBT folk,
Yeah,
you're in the wrong.
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about. But I back to when you were about talking about debates. When I have a conversation with a religious person, or even if I'm discussing with an atheist or whatever, I don't debate. I just have conversation. I do not do debates. I personally don't feel comfortable. I believe that the more how do I say it? We can be more productive if we just have a normal conversation, instead of saying or being, I'm against you and I'm going to challenge you and try to and I win if you can't challenge what I believe. And I don't. So there are people out there that rather debate, but for me, I just like to have conversation, because I believe that's more productive than debates.
But I also, it is interesting, because if we talk about you being an atheist content creator, you are going on the platform with an idea of what you think is true and what you think isn't true, which is kind of, you're already holding a position in some sort of way. So I'd almost say that, it's one thing to explore other people's beliefs and ideas, but you have to also work around the caveat, like you've even put it in your name, Sassy Atheist, right? Like, that is kind of the assumptions and foundations that you are working with every single conversation. And I almost I guess the reason why I point that out is because I've been thinking about this idea about debates lately because I've also previously described myself as someone who doesn't really do debates, at least not on here, and not in a formal sense, right? I'd be interested, honestly, to really try it. I know some people have suggested, oh, I should talk to this person, do a debate. You know, we'll see if that works out in the future. But like, you know, this whole idea of like, oh, we go into conversations, we don't want to do debates. Well, I mean, if you're going into a conversation and you already believe something differently from somebody else, like I think it's natural to almost defend what you already believe, right? Or at least point out why you think the way that you do. And so it just kind of it puts that definition of debate into a tizzy for me a little bit. I don't know. Just been thinking out loud about some of this kinds of stuff, you know?
Coming from,
Yeah.
I mean, in that sense, it may be a debate, but I think what also makes a debate is like how we communicate and how we approach the topic. And let's see, another thing is that I am trying to do as a public figure is that atheism is just a disbelief or lack of belief in a god or gods. That is it. Anything else you believe in or don't believe in, that's you. That has nothing to do with being an atheist. And that's like one of the many misconceptions about atheism is that if you're an atheist, then that means you don't believe in any supernatural. That means you don't, you can't, or you don't, let's say, practice or do something that may come from a religion, like meditation or something. And I just, and that's why, like, the only reason why I have Sassy, or I mean atheist, is because that's it. I don't believe in a god or gods. That's just it. And so that's why I like to communicate. That's another reason why I like to communicate with so many different people and to share my views and to also hear others, is to try to break that misconception, is that, oh, you're an atheist, then you're in this box, so you have these certain views.
And I agree with you. I agree with you that there is definitely that misconception out there, and it is so common, so common. But even then, I imagine that if you are going into YouTube and you're making it videos about something, like, you already have some opinions about some of these ideas. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely also don't want to give the false idea that, oh, I'm coming into here with a completely neutral space, right? Because nobody is completely neutral on a lot of these ideas unless you're completely ignorant about it, right? Like, especially when we're talking about religion, and if we're atheists and we're talking about this online, like, we have our own ideas about how we kind of conceptualize a lot of these ideas, what we think about them, whether we think they're good, whether we think they're bad or correct or incorrect. So yeah, I don't know, just an interesting